All right. Ready to do this?
Ready to do this.
All right. How the fuck am I gonna?
How the fuck do you intro a show?
All right. We'll intro like this. Welcome back to the fuck. Fucking fuck.
Welcome back to the Cosmic Brew Show.
No,
we're
not the Cosmic Brew Show anymore.
What?
We are now the Cosmic Universe Show. Oh. All right. So, where have we been? You might be asking, or you might not have been asking, because if you're cold and heartless, then go fuck yourself. We have been. Well,
we've been busy.
Yeah,
we've been very busy.
We were going to come back with a review of Spider-Man all the way back in June, but yeah, our last set flooded, for lack of a better term.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, and life happened. We kind of got caught up in doing other film projects and working, and before you knew it, a couple months passed by, and we're like, holy shit, we got to start doing this again, or else we're probably never going to do it. So.
And we're into September.
Yeah. Now it's September, June to September. Yeah, we're just lazy. We're just lazy fucking individuals.
We're just bums. We're just lazy bums.
But yeah, the show is now called the Cosmic Universe Show instead of the Cosmic Brew Review. The difference here is that we're going to be talking about more things than just movie reviews. It's kind of what we wanted to do before, but we kind of wanted to drop the whole brew thing. It was kind of getting hard to say, like Cosmic Brew.
Tongue tripping over each other. Like you said, it was getting to the point where it was becoming like a bar theme, and that's not kind of where we wanted to go with the show.
And so now we're in a new location. Could be temporary, it could be permanent. We got a fancy new video monitor. It's not fancy. It's very, very cheap and
technology.
But yeah, so that's kind of what we're going to do now. We're kind of going to branch over a little bit of everything. Talk about some movies, talk about some TV shows, talk about some games, and just whatever. Just bullshit about general.
Whatever comes to mind.
Yep. And alright, so right off the bat, let's get to topic number one. And that would be this juggernaut of a horror movie that came out over the weekend called It. This latest adaptation of Stephen King's work made over $123 million at the box office. And as it currently stands right now, according to Box Office Mojo, as of this recording, which is Thursday night, it is at $217 million worldwide. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's huge.
It's phenomenal.
Huge.
It's phenomenal because of there's unknown actors in this horror movie. You had a decent story, you had a great cast, and it's phenomenal that they did this. The fact that it made over $100 million over the weekend, that's incredible.
It goes to show the power, in my opinion, the power of a story. If you have the right story, it doesn't matter who you have as a director, who's in your cast,
or the actors.
Yeah, the movie could flop. I mean, it might be saying, well, it's Stephen King, it's hard to fuck that up. Well, Dark Tower.
I haven't seen Dark Tower yet. I've heard a lot of people are really too happy with it.
Yeah, it's not the right one about. But so yeah, and you know, the fact that this movie did so much. I mean, and Pennywise, over the years, has kind of gotten like a cult following. Kind of, you know, the whole clown, fear of clown things. Look
at American Horror Story. You know,
they played off that.
Yeah, they made the perfect time to do the whole clown cult thing.
Yeah, so it was just a really, really well-made movie. The cinematography was gorgeous. The acting was phenomenal. And But I think it's a game changer now because not too many rated R horror movies, at least in recent years, have even come close to these numbers. I mean, usually opening weekend, if a rated R horror movie's good, it might do maybe about 30 million, 40 at the most.
Well, also in its defense, there wasn't a lot going up against it as well, because the second #1 movie was
Home Again.
Home Again, and that only made $9 million, estimated $9 million that weekend.
But I mean,
nothing against Reese. I love Reese.
Even though the schedules for the movies were weak over time or over the end of the summer schedule, none of that is its fault. Or none of that is the film its fault, and it can't really be kind of excused that it wasn't really up against anything, because it's just sometimes it's just the way the chips fall. But I think obviously if it was up against something like a Spider-Man or like even a Dunkirk, it would have gotten far less. But the fact that it cleaned up so much, and even my short estimate was like 80 million. I said 80 million, and that was even top of the line. That's even setting some records at 80 million.
I was about to say, was it 80 million? Were you thinking 80 million entirety, or were you thinking just?
No, just opening weekend.
Okay.
Because everything has been so lax, and the hype that they built, the hype train around this movie was. And unlike any other horror movie I'd ever seen, normally the way these films are marketed, they don't market horror movies like how they marketed it.
Right.
You would think this movie was like a summer blockbuster the way they marketed it, and goddamn the totals just lend more credence to that. I mean, 123 million. It's unreal, and I don't know if we'll get another horror movie, especially a rated R horror movie on top of that. That might come close. You had mentioned before that you wanted to kind of delve into some of the differences between the 90s version of It and this 2017 version of It.
Yeah, everybody's trying to compare the 90s compared to now. And it's like, you can't do that, because one, the 90s version was a TV movie. And that was, I think it was like maybe a 2-night event. I can't remember. It was like a mini-series.
Yeah, it was definitely split.
Yeah, it was split up. And the story was also written differently, where there was flashbacks between the adults and the kids, which actually I'm looking forward to too, because now it's going to be the adults when they do the sequel. And it just gets my goat that it gets my goat that people are just like, well, it's so much better than the 90s. Of course it's going to be better. Well, one, the technology of the special effects is better. The story is going to be a little better because of the motion picture, so it's not going to drag. So it's a good thing that they did this version where just the kids facing, it. And I still love Tim Curry as the clown. Pennywise.
Tim Curry's Pennywise is always going to hold a special place in anybody's heart that loved that movie growing up. So, but yeah, you hit it right on the head with what you were talking about before about the budget, and people kind of doing the compare game. I'm not sure what the original was made for. It was not made for no $32 million like this current film adaptation was. No way. They maybe spent a couple million on it at most, because you're also dealing with TV stars at the time. John Ritter, probably the most notable name out of that group, because he was starting to branch out into film. I know you had John Boy Walton in there.
Ned O'Toole.
Yeah, you had dude from Night Court.
Harry Anderson.
Yeah, so and then obviously Tim Curry, who is who is a film star too. But yeah, it's just like I said, and then there's certain things you can do for TV, like back in the day, the restrictions with TV were so much tighter than they are now. They could probably get away with doing a dark version of it like this on TV now,
Right.
just minus the swearing.
Well, because of cable. No, actually, you could probably do it because of the swearing, because cable's been.
Didn't even think about that with going with cable. Like if they did it on like AMC or something like that. I mean, look at The Walking Dead.
Right.
That thing's as violent and as gory as any zombie movie I've ever seen, but it's on network television.
Right.
So
Yeah, television's changed over the years, and I mean, compared to what the '90s were, what they were allowed to do back in the day, and compared to what they can do now, as far as what censorship.
yeah,
As far as censorship, it's I don't want to say it's a little bit more lenient, but it has evolved.
yeah.
Evolved, yeah.
It's they've kind of, yeah. Well, I would say lenient. I think they've kind of, as culture gets more comfortable with words and sexuality and stuff like that, they've let a lot slip through, and which is just a reflection of the time. A lot more things are common and acceptable now than what they were back in 1989,
yeah.
1990.
I mean, hell, just look at the cartoons
Oh
nowadays.
God, yeah. But one of the other things I'll bring up that's a difference between then and now is the cheese factor. I mean, you go back at the time, it probably didn't seem like it that it was that cheesy, but you go back and watch it now. It still holds up as a movie. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want people that are diehard fans of the original to come asking for my head. But
at least not on our first show.
Yeah, not on our first show back, please. At least give me one or two more.
Sort of our first show.
So, but the cheese was so damn thick in that original. Pennywise ain't fucking around.
Yeah, not at all. So there's that.
But alright, moving on. So recently, Lucasfilm decided Colin Trevorrow was no longer fit to direct Star Wars Episode 9, and they sacked him. They said bye-bye. But it looks like J.J. Abrams is coming back to do the last of this saga trilogy that he started with The Force Awakens. So we'll be getting J.J. Abrams, or we got J.J. Abrams for The Force Awakens, Rian Johnson for The Last Jedi, and now going back to J.J. Abrams for Episode 9.
To finish it off.
Yeah. Do you think it's a good move, a bad move, indifferent? How do you feel about J.J. Abrams coming back to close out the trilogy?
Okay, so first off, when he rebooted the Star Wars franchise, I thought he did a great job with it. Some people may be angry about me saying that, but I remember going with my friends the one night, and when we watched it, of course we stayed out after, we discussed the movie, and I'm with everybody else. It's like I kind of felt like it felt like the first Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And I could see a lot of that, but I was okay with it. You got a lot of new characters. It was well dialogued. There's a lot of mystery going on. Who is Rey's
her lineage, her parents. Who the hell is Snoke?
There's still mystery behind mostly a series of characters. So I think he'll do a good job with it, just like he did before with the first one.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I was kind of hoping that maybe Rian Johnson would come back to do Episode 9, but I could understand if he didn't, because he's still, I believe, in post on Last Jedi, unless it's wrapped. I don't know what the scheduling right now is, but I would assume he's still in post.
Could be worse. We could have got Michael Bay.
Holy shit. No. Explosions. Blah, 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 blah. But no, I kind of wanted Rian Johnson to come back and maybe continue the similar tone that would be in Last Jedi. But if he's still in post, and from what I know, Last Jedi is supposed, Episode 9, I believe, is supposed to be starting to film in January or February. That's not much of downtime, and Rian Johnson's been working on Episode 8 here for about 2 years, and that's a long ass time, and to try to jump right back into something. So, but no, I think it's a good move going with JJ, bringing him back. I trusted him with Episode 7, and I'll agree. Like everybody else says, when I watched it, it kind of felt familiar. Like we kind of covered these same things before. Mm-hmm. But I was okay with the soft reboot, as it's now kind of coined the phrase, where you kind of do a similar thing as a previous movie, but it still exists in the same universe, so it's not resetting. It's not a complete reset. You just kind of do the same thing over again. So I was fine with it, especially with how just poorly done the prequels were. But yeah, like JJ coming back to do Episode 9, I think it's a good bookend on this current trilogy.
But okay, my question was going to be to you though, before we end this little segment here, is that this isn't the first time that they've booted out a director, because the Han Solo, they booted out the one director, and then Ron Howard is directing now for that.
Well, the directing team that they booted out of Han Solo was Lord and Miller. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Okay. And like how you mentioned with them, but on Rogue One, Gareth Edwards was replaced when they did reshoots. They brought in Tony Gilroy to do the reshoots on Rogue One. So yeah, Lucasfilm kind of has a history of doing this, and at first I would say it didn't look good. It's not a good look when you're constantly changing out directors. Mm-hmm. But I think you gotta, number one, if you have a vision in place, you have to have a director that's willing to fulfill that vision. And if they're starting to deviate away from that, then changes need to be made. So I actually really I like the decision to go with Ron Howard on that one. A little more of a veteran director. He's been around the block. Kind of knows what Lucasfilm is going for, and my fingers are still crossed on that one, how that's going to turn out, because that's tough to especially when you're replacing, even though he's supposed to be younger, everybody, Han Solo is Harrison Ford is Han Solo,
Right.
so it's going to be tough to kind of, but yeah, so that's kind of where I stand on the new Star Wars thing, where that's going. Moving on. It looks like, the people at Eon Productions, the people who are behind James Bond, are, while they're trying to figure out distribution between who's going to distribute the next batch of movies, it looks like Amazon and Apple have thrown their hats into the ring as possible distributors. So I know you don't follow the Bond franchise as much as I.
Yeah, you're more of a fan than I am.
do. Yeah, I'm more like a really hardcore fan when it comes to that series. But what do you think? I mean, because right now I think they said Warner Brothers might be the one that's in the running to actually get the distribution rights to the new movies coming out. But what do you think about Apple and Amazon getting a hold of them and possibly using it to expand the Bond universe?
Well, it sounds like Apple. It sounds like Amazon wants to expand more besides their TV, and Bond could be a really big thing for them.
Well, yeah, didn't they just do a movie last year? Wasn't it that Manchester by the Sea?
Just really see. I think they did. I think
that was Amazon.
So I can actually see them doing it. You know, they're trying to expand like Netflix, is, with their series and movies. Because you see stuff with like Adam Sandler on there. You see these different TV shows. Actually, I just watched one called Disjointed with Kathy Bates. I just actually watched Death Note.
Okay.
The American version of Death Note, which wasn't bad. It's like I do follow the anime, and I do remember the live action motion picture movie, and they actually did a good job with it. But as far as Amazon, I think Amazon would be the bigger one for Bond. But you said Warner Brothers was
involved in that. I know Disney and somebody else backed out long ago. I think Sony is still trying to make a play after they were involved with like Quantum of Solace, Casino Royale, the most recent Bond movies.
Oh yeah, because they kind of went back.
Yeah. My only thing is, I wouldn't mind it going to a streaming service like Apple or Amazon. My only fear is that there was a quote from, I can't remember if it was an Apple executive or an Amazon executive, that said James Bond is one of the last untapped, basically like big franchises and untapped for expansion, and immediately in my head that says universe expansion. I don't feel we need expansion into multiple storylines involving multiple characters. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't need a standalone Moneypenny series. I don't need... The only one we talked about this earlier. The only one I'd say that I'd bring up that I would be interested in seeing is possibly a Felix Leiter standalone series, where it just follows him around. But it's... With James Bond, I think universe building off of him, it's tricky, and why I don't think it will work is because when you universe build with Marvel, that's Marvel. It's a brand that encompasses a lot of different characters.
Right.
Same thing with DC, with even the Fast and the Furious. It's not solely focused around one character. The James Bond license is solely. I mean, yeah, there's multiple characters in there, but its main focus is one, and that's James Bond. And trying to expand it out of that, I just think there'll be a lot more pushback, and I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough there that the average person will actually give a shit. For diehards, maybe, but the average person, no average person is gonna want to sit down and see what Moneypenny's doing, or what M's doing, or what Q's doing. For diehards, I would be interested, but I think diehards aren't who they're targeting. That's a small percentage of the demographic. The only expansion other than a lighter series that I could see that could work is possibly more comics, a lot more maybe novels being produced.
Okay, alright.
And video games.
What about?
Because video games is an area that they haven't tapped into recently, ever since that abysmal 007 Legends game, which any friend of me knows I fucking hate that game. It was atrocious. It was a goddamn train wreck.
What about Jinx?
Fuck no.
Really?
Anything from that movie should die in a fucking fire. No. Anything that revolves around Die Another Day, no. Nothing.
Because they were talking about. I remember they were talking about Halle Berry getting a
standalone movie.
Yeah.
They were discussing it for a little while, and thank God they had the wherewithal to just snap out of it for a second and just say no.
Why so much hate?
Well, let's see. First, there's a movie called Die Another Day. Have you heard?
Yes.
It is arguably one of the worst Bond movies ever made, if not the worst. For a long time, people said Moonraker was the worst. No, this puts fucking Moonraker to shame. Everything in that fucking movie is garbage. I will save it for a Bond review later. Mark my words. I'm not going to get into it now, but you will hear me. You will hear me shit on that movie.
I opened up Pandora's box.
See what you did? You got the fucking Hellraiser chains coming out now. So okay, bringing it back, center. Save that.
Find your zen. Breathe.
We'll save that for another day. We're gonna start wrapping up the show here, but I know you wanted. We have a couple just little things we wanted to talk about. You wanted to talk about, just briefly touch upon the new TV show, Orville.
Yeah, the Orville.
From Seth MacFarlane.
Yes.
I'm not a big Seth MacFarlane fan, I'll be honest. Outside maybe the first couple seasons of Family Guy. But how does this compare? Is it like live action Family Guy, or of that similar humor?
No,
or is it different?
actually, it's kind of weird because it has comedy, but there's also a lot of drama as well. Of course, it's only been one show, and they show I don't know the name of everybody yet, but basically they show the crew getting together, so you get everybody's origin and you get to feel for the cabinet. But it actually is more of a drama than it is comedy. I mean, there's comedy presented.
Yeah.
There's comedy presented, and it is in a MacFarlane fashion, but it's light. It's
Okay.
not forced.
Okay.
It's not forced. It's not like Family Guy or the Cleveland Show, or American Dad. It's not like any of those other shows. I mean, it's not like you're gonna see all of a sudden Peter Griffin and then there's like a flashback of something.
Remember that time?
So, but is it a spoof off Star Trek? Of course. To me personally, of course, I think it is a spoof on Star Trek. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I mean, as I said, you'll meet the characters. You really don't know too much about them just yet, but it's a worthwhile series to invest your time in.
Okay.
I think personally.
Okay, that's sweet. I may have to check it out just based off your recommendation. Now we're gonna go into a little segment I like to call the Camp Blood Corner. You have not played the Friday the 13th game?
I have not.
I am obsessed with that Friday the 13th game. It's a lot of fun. It actually is a lot of fun. It's a very simple multiplayer, but it's even with the glitches in there, they're almost become like just part of the experience now, where you just kind of crack up when shit just goes wrong. But
as like in a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah. But no, we're bringing up I'm bringing up Friday the 13th here because Gun Media just this past week released a video that is a teaser for a new map based off of the Part 4 movie that also features Part 4 Jason. So if you haven't seen it, check it out right here. We're going to play it for you.
Rated M for mature.
I'm super stoked about that trailer. I literally shat my pants when it came out. But no, right off the bat, firstly, the weather. I'm glad they're finally putting in some different atmosphere than just nighttime. It'll still be nighttime, but we're getting some thunder and some lightning and some rain.
Now, does that affect anything in the game as far as like the player content? Does it make it slower?
It might. I'm not sure. They haven't come out and said anything, but we might get some We might get some slipping and falling, with players trying to run away from Jason, which I'm hoping for. I mean, in every fucking movie, these people trip and fall. They don't do it in the game. They stumble, but I'm hoping that they put something in there where if they start stumbling, they actually slip and fall, and like that'd be a lot of fun. But no, I'm looking forward to playing Part 4 Jason a lot because we had 2 running Jasons in the game. We had Part 2 and Part 3, but they don't really run. They just kind of like jog. They kind of like bounce, jog after you, and it almost looks silly. It doesn't look it doesn't look scary. Any other Jasons walk, but Part 4, if you've ever seen the movie, that motherfucker runs. I mean, he chases a chick at the end from one house to the other and full on sprints after her. So I'm hoping, guys at Gun Media, if you happen across this video, which you probably won't, please have the ability to run in there. It would make this Jason more unique to where it doesn't feel like you're just playing Part 2 Jason or Part 3 Jason with just a different skin. Having him be able to move a little faster than those would really make this Jason feel different. But no, they've the physical edition of this game is coming out on October 13th.
Oh yeah. October 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Yeah. So they have a lot of new content that's going to drop for this game. New maps. Obviously, a new Jason. They have a swimsuit pack coming out. That you can dress your counselors in, so you can have the girls running around in bikinis. They have one of the guy in like a tiger print fucking Speedo. It's hilarious. It's good shit. The guys at Gun Media are fucking they're really on top of their stuff. They treat their fans well and.
Do all the Jasons, do both Jasons, now there's 3, right? Do they run around at the same time? So
the game is it's an asymmetrical multiplayer, so it's 1 versus 8, okay, or 8 versus 1, depending on how you look at it. One person's Jason. You have 8 people in a lobby. One person's randomly selected to be Jason. The other 7 or the other 8 no, I'm sorry. It's 1 versus 7. I take that back. Mm-hmm. One person's randomly selected to be Jason. The other 7 are counselors, and your job as a counselor is to get out of the camp. You can either survive the 20-minute match without dying, or you can find parts to a phone to reactivate it to call the police. And after a certain amount of time, police will be waiting at the exit, and you can run, or you can put parts in to try to rebuild a car or a boat and get out of the camp that way. and that's really all the game is.
Have you been Jason?
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I have a couple matches where it's difficult, but for the most part, I wholesale slaughter everybody. It's no one stands a chance. But no, there's times where I've had people get out, but there's been other times I've cleared house in like 5 minutes. And the matches are 20 minutes, so within 5 minutes I've gone through everybody. But no, one of these days I'll show you the game. You'll have a lot of fun with it. But I mean, right now that's all for this show.
Yeah.
It was fun to blow the dust off of all this shit and get back doing this. Hopefully, get back with it with more regularity.
We're gonna be busy next month, so.
Yeah, we'll be busy in October with some filming that we're doing for the Horror 48. Hopefully, we can get in a show right before then, with hopefully some more news coming out, some more film news, and some video game news. Hopefully, maybe we can do one around the 13th. Talk about some more Friday the 13th stuff. I could bring that back up.
Speaking of which, we'd like to congratulate some people for winning at the 48, especially our team.
Yes, we one of the things we did while we were out, we had a project for the 48-hour film contest, and we were nominated for 6 awards.
Yes.
And we took home 3, one of which was a best actor, a co-best actor to Jason Klingensmith, who once again reprised his role as Rock Hard Ass and went up against this big bad mofo in Sunset Fist 2, Fist Harder, which if you have not seen it, check out our Cosmic Octopus channel. You'll find it on there. You'll find a bunch of our other short films on there from other previous 48-hour film festivals and other stuff that we've done. And they're just silly. Some of them are silly. Some of them get kind of dark. But they're all fun. Yeah, they're all fun to watch. So.
But we also want to congratulate one of the cat for winning for.
How could I?
Yeah,
I'll fucking slip my mind.
Would
you like to
Kat Anderson for winning Best Actress?
Like I told her when she won the award, it's a long time coming. You deserved it back when we did Domestic. I thought, and you just turned out killer performance after killer performance and never got. And I felt you always got snubbed. Well, you finally got yours this time, and we here at Cosmic Octopus just couldn't be happier for you. It was well deserved. And it was about fucking time too. Let's be honest here.
We actually won for best costumes and was it best costumes and makeup?
Best graphics.
Yeah.
Costumes and makeup and best graphics. That's a shout out to you, Todd. You know you love that one.
So yeah, it's been busy, but it's been great too. So
yeah. But yeah, that wraps up our show here. We'll be back soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And
like a pirate. Yeah, I feel like a parrot. Yeah, kind of hopefully.
Just parroting everything I say. And we'll catch you next time on the Cosmic Universe Show. Peace out, everybody.
Adios.
Did you like the video that you just saw? Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below. Help some big boys out and spread some of the love, will you?
And also check out our Facebook page. We're going to put articles on there like comics and movies and music and just all kinds of things. That's revolved around our cosmic universe here.
Yep. And if you don't, well, go fuck yourself.
Way to bring them in.